Hello, I'm Nicola from Get Birth Confident. Thank you for joining me today for this bite-sized hypnobirthing session. Mini hypnobirthing sessions that you can watch in your lunch break. So today I am going to talk about the hormone Oxytocin, really important hormone that has an important role in pregnancy and birth and parenthood. So we're going to look at what the role is and how you can boost it. If you have any questions as we go along, then just pop them in the comment box and I'll answer those. I was also asked about TENS machines beforehand, so I'll answer that at the end as well. So oxytocin is a hormone that we produce when we're feeling safe, when we're feeling loved, when we're in a familiar environment, and generally when we're feeling happy, okay? It's often nicknamed the love hormone or the shy hormone, and it's a really, really important hormone when it comes to pregnancy, birth, and parenthood. So during birth, this is where it plays a really, really important role. So it actually causes our uterus to contract. So no oxytocin, no contractions. So we've got a question there. Need to boost my oxytocin as my due date is next week. Yes, Christine. Yep. So I will talk in a minute about thinking about boosting oxytocin in those kind of final days and weeks of pregnancy. So, but during labour, we really do want to look at boosting oxytocin, okay? It's because it's such an important hormone in terms of the process of our labour. This is particularly important if you're labouring at hospital. So if you're labouring at home, then it is generally more supportive of oxytocin. It's just more of a natural environment for oxytocin to be created because, you know, it is a familiar environment. We feel safe. So if you're labouring at home and then needing to transfer to hospital, or if you're labouring at hospital, you're going to want to think in quite a lot of detail about how you're going to get that oxytocin going. So the first thing to think of in terms of producing oxytocin is your birth partner. Your birth partner is chief oxytocin generator, okay? So they are someone that you love and someone that you trust. So they're going to play a really, really important role in helping you to produce oxytocin. So what can they do? Well, massage is a really good one. If you like massage, then that's a really good one you can try. And really any kind of physical contact, so cuddling, holding hands, kissing, anything like that, where you feel safe and loved with your birth partner, that can really, really help to get that oxytocin going. Another really good one is laughter. So laughing is really going to help oxytocin. If any birth partners watch this, maybe later on in the replay, then if you've got any stories that you have been holding back, a story that you've never told, a really funny story, this would be the time to bring it out. So any kind of jokes, funny stories can really help. Or if birth partners aren't feeling in a particularly humorous mood, then maybe listening to a funny podcast. So this is all the kind of thing that you can think of in your birth plan and be thinking of ahead of time of what could I listen to that might make me laugh. Another one is food. So really yummy foods, your favourite foods. Chocolate's a really good one, that can really help. And also thinking about and maybe watching videos of people that you love. So these could be loved friends and family. If you've got older children, then watching videos of them can be really, really effective. Or pets as well. If you've got pets, then looking at photos. Or if you're at home, labouring at home and your pet's nearby, then that also actually might help you to produce more oxytocin. And something that's really, really important to consider is that your birth space is a safe and private space. So again, birth partners, I'm looking at you. This is something that you're really going to need to step up and be in charge of, is keeping that space safe, making sure that interruptions are reduced, that people aren't necessarily coming in and out. Feeling a safe and private space is going to be a really big factor in helping you produce oxytocin. So that is in a nutshell oxytocin during birth. We mentioned earlier about during pregnancy, so as you're approaching the final sort of couple of weeks of your pregnancy, and then potentially if you do go overdue, past your due date, then it can be really tempting to kind of stress about it, feel that there's a bit of a deadline, and obviously that's not going to help very much with oxytocin. So if you are approaching the end of your pregnancy, or even if you're overdue, the best thing you can do is don't stress about it, relax, and plan in some nice things to do. So every day of the sort of final sort of couple of weeks of your pregnancy, plan something in that you know is going to give you a really nice oxytocin boost. So doing something nice, spending time with people you love, things like that. Either you'll get to do those nice things, or your baby will become beforehand and you won't, you'll have to reschedule those things. So that's definitely worth thinking about. The other thing is orgasm is really, really good for bringing on, for producing oxytocin. So if you're up for it, if you fancy it, having sex could be a really good way to help encourage labour naturally, if your body is ready. So it's one of the only really sort of proven things that could help to bring on labour, but your body does need to be ready anyway. But if you fancy it, that's something that you could look at doing as well. So let's move on then to talking about afterbirth. So once your baby has been born, oxytocin plays quite a few roles, but really importantly, it helps you to bond with your baby, and it tells your breasts to make milk. It also gives you a kind of a positive mood, and makes you generally feel good and loved up. So again, you want as much oxytocin as possible after birth, in the hours, days, weeks after birth. And the top way to do that is skin to skin. So when your baby's been born, generally they'll be brought up onto your chest, and you'll have your golden hour, which is that that undisturbed hour, or hopefully more, of bonding time with your baby, where you do have that skin to skin time. But skin to skin isn't just for that time. You can do it any time, well, in that sort of fourth trimester, but even beyond that. Babies and children really respond to that skin to skin time, and there's lots of benefits for you and for baby. And you'll probably find that your baby settles really nicely on your chest when you're having a skin to skin time. So really, really great for oxytocin. So if there's any more questions, if you wanted to pop them in the comment box, and I'll move on to answering the question that was sent in advance, which was about TENS machines and whether I think it's worth investing in a TENS machine. I can't give a definitive answer on this because it's quite personal, actually. Everyone has different experiences with TENS machines. They can be really effective for helping to produce endorphins, which is like a natural pain relief. And the other great thing about endorphins is that they can be banked for later. So people quite often use TENS machines in early labour to help them bank endorphins, which will then see them through when things kind of ramp up and get more intense later. In terms of experiences, I've heard people that have absolutely loved it and they said it was really effective. I've heard people say that they didn't particularly like the sensation of a TENS machine. And I've also heard people say that they didn't dislike it, but they didn't know if it had any effect or not. So it's really one of those personal things. I would just say, if nothing else, it's a really good distraction technique. So the process of putting it on and then pressing the boost button when you have a surge, it can be a really good distraction. So possibly rather than buying one, you could look at hiring one. I think when I had my first baby, I hired one for less than 20 quid, and it was for like a 6-week hire period, and then it was there if I wanted it. From my own personal experience, I didn't really love it, to be honest. But as I say, some people do. So I hope that answers your question about TENS machines. I can't see any questions in the box, but I will be putting this on on my grid. So if you have any follow-up questions, then feel free to pop them in the comments below or pop me a DM, and more than happy to answer those. Next week I will be doing another bite-sized hypnobirthing session. That's so next Thursday at 1 o'clock. And next week I'm going to be talking about top tips for birth partners. So if you can get them to come along, then great. But otherwise, that'll be available on the grid afterwards as well. I look forward to seeing you then, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.